I mean, I just want to see Sigilyph and Dhelmise because, like, we just haven't really seen too much of those historically even. So, I don't know what sets they're really running at all and whether they were even featured in that last game. But, you know, Shiano Lure here could actually be decent offensively. It's just, once again, you have to be so worried about Tyranitar and Excadrill. So I think, like, Arash has to really play around that properly. I mean, the other thing is, like, Gyarados is also hard to bring because of the Milotic on Ryota's end, right? If you just, like, lead Gyarados and Ryota leads Milotic, that's going to get an instant boost, and it's just so hard for Arash's team, I think, to deal with Milotic, especially if it's boosted. So, yeah, I'm curious if Ryota goes with the Sand mode here. Looks like it is going to be the Excadrill lead, but there's Sigilyph.
All right, let's go. Pikachu and Togekiss out on Arash's side of the field yet again. So, Pikachu in a great spot to deal damage to Sigilyph, but that Excadrill is going to be really scary for it to stare down.
And, yeah, someone asked to change the in-game music, so apologies for that. I'm not sure if there's actually any audio coming out from the stream output. Do you know, Gabby?
I don't hear any personally,
Okay,
so
I'm not
I
sure
think
we
we're without
any,
audio.
unfortunately. So, I'll have background music for now until that is changed. All right,
yeah, and, you know, look... Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, so the big question here is, you know, can you actually knock out Excadrill? Excadrill can one-shot either of these two Pokemon if it Dynamaxes. And so, yeah, the question is, do you Dynamax something on Arash's end to go for, you know, like the Max Flare on Excadrill, or maybe if there is the Dynamax Water type attack on Pikachu if it's carrying Surf?
Well, we are going to see the Gigantamax Pikachu, so it looks like maybe Overgrowth or on, you know, just going for the Gmax electric attack from that Pikachu will be the way to do big damage here if that's what Pikachu decides. It looks like Ryota is also going to Dynamax one of his Pokemon. You have to think this is going to be the Excadrill, considering that I would assume that Sigilyph is more of a supportive Pokemon in terms of Ryota's team construction. And it is going to be that Excadrill that goes to the Dynamax. So going to have those super powerful ground-type moves can be redirected by Togekiss, but instead Arash going for a Max Guard. Sigilyph setting up Tailwind, so unless this Togekiss matches with its own Tailwind, that Excadrill will be faster. Steel Strike will connect with Togekiss, and it looks like it just knocks it out. That did some big damage, so no weakness policy activation this time around. Both of Ryota's Pokemon will get a defense boost and have the speed advantage going into turn 2.
Yeah, I mean, oh wow, and it's Life Orb Excadrill as well, so, you know, a lot of players have been opting for bulkier Excadrills more recently, sometimes opting for Assault Vest, maybe Focus Sash as well, but that is pretty much the worst case scenario there for Arash. He also wastes a turn of Dynamax/Gmax there. So, very much not ideal. And Tailwind goes up, so now Ryota has a speed advantage for the next couple of turns as well. I mean, yeah, Pikachu there had the potential to just go for an attack, but obviously fearing a Max Quake. I mean, the thing about Max Quake is, like, I think Ryota is less likely to go for that because Togekiss puts on pressure with Follow Me. So, yeah, I think Arash playing a little risky there. Not really sure what Togekiss was going for there. Maybe just something like a Heat Wave or maybe an Air Slash, but he didn't really have too much to deal with the Excadrill immediately. And Sigilyph, you see, is actually a Tailwind user as well. You know, not super common, but we see things like Corviknight for Tailwind more often, or Whimsicott, but Sigilyph proving that it can also Tailwind. And, I mean, Ryota's just in a phenomenal position right now with the speed advantage. You can just Max Quake into the Pikachu slot, which should just get the one-shot. So, and I'm not even sure a Conkeldurr here was able to knock out the Excadrill even with the fighting type attack. So that was like the worst case scenario there for Arash.
Yeah, that defense boost from the Steel Strike is really going to pay off when it comes to handling the threat of the Conkeldurr. Arash actually switches out the Pikachu, so he gives up the Gigantamax form for an Intimidate from his Gyarados, which will lower the attack of the opposing Dynamaxed Excadrill by 1 stage. Psychic from the Sigilyph will connect with that Conkeldurr, and that does some That's a... Oh, no. Conkeldurr is able to hold on, and it looks like it will have the opportunity to heal thanks to a Drain Punch. But talk about some big damage from that Sigilyph. I was not expecting it to take so much damage. Conkeldurr does get the Flame Orb to activate and will be burned, which should activate Guts and make it a little bit more powerful. But still, it looks like it's within KO range from Sigilyph. Like, easy.
Yeah, wow. I don't even know if a Burnt Mach Punch knocks out Excadrill right now. I mean, Excadrill Dynamax is just really strong, plus he got the defense boost from the Steel Spike, so... I mean, Ryota might just be content Psychicking Conkeldurr and going for Rockfall onto the Gyarados. I think Arash went for a great switch there, though. You have to go for that. Otherwise, Pikachu's getting KO'd, and you don't get anything off there. But, oh, interesting Max Guard here on the last turn.
Yeah, so it looks like Ryota protecting the Excadrill for this turn. Mach Punch will not connect with it. Psychic will connect with that Conkeldurr, and it is able to remove it from the field. So a 2-hit knockout from Sigilyph into Conkeldurr. That's a matchup I never thought I'd see today.
Not at all.
Gyarados does get the Dragon Dance up, and I believe Pikachu is going to be Arash's last Pokemon, so it'll come back on the field with Fake Out, but that's still going to be a tall order for Arash to sort of play his way through, since Ryota still has the Tailwind up. I believe the Excadrill is done with its Dynamax, so it can at least be flinched this turn, but still, he needs to find a way to basically sweep now with Gyarados, which is going to be a tough ask.
Yeah, I mean, the thing here is, like, you still have Tailwind up, right? So, like, both Excadrill and Sigilyph are still faster here. So, yeah, I think Arash's win con is basically to try to get multiple boosts off with this Gyarados. You're not going to get KO'd now because you've got the Citrus Berry. The Excadrill is non-Dynamaxed anymore. So, Rock Slide definitely won't be knocking out, but, like, a flinch here could be absolutely critical. And I mean, the thing is, Pikachu is so frail. We'll just faint to obviously a ground type attack, even with the Intimidate. I wonder if a Psychic honestly just gets the KO as well. So, yeah, I mean, Arash has to try to power through with Gyarados at this point, and it's certainly possible, but it's gonna be really tough. And Pikachu actually doesn't Fake Ops for a Protect instead.
Yeah, I like the Protect here, since this will give Gyarados the opportunity.
What?
Attack, but Sigilyph also knows Gravity, so this Gyarados is now vulnerable to ground type moves. I mean, so is Sigilyph if you want to take the good with the bad. But even though Gyarados will get another Dragon Dance in here, and we will see the expiration of Tailwind this turn, I think that Ryota has just set himself up for his win condition now. Those high horsepowers are going to be perfectly accurate thanks to the Gravity, and this Pikachu is not in a good spot. It's not really going to be able to do anything now.
Yeah, I mean, Gyarados, it's all up to Gyarados right now, basically. I'm not sure how the Excadrill speed also compares up to the Pikachu, but I mean, like, I think Arash has to really target the Sigilyph here because you can't let another Tailwind go up because your way of winning this is sweeping through basically with Gyarados. So, Gravity is really cool on Sigilyph. That's a neat set. We saw Gravity back in, like, 2016, and oh, wow, Switch Out as well. I wonder if that's Tyranitar. Yeah, Tyranitar to come in and get the speed boost. Yeah, really safe player.
Yeah, so sometimes you don't even need Tailwind for the speed boost. It looks like the Sandstream will activate, and the Excadrill should... I guess there were 2 speed boosts from Dragon Dance on the Gyarados, so it looks like the Excadrill is able to move prior to the Gyarados. Pikachu does get a double protect, so that's pretty good there, but Crunch is going to do no damage whatsoever to that Tyranitar thanks to its type resistance. So again, Ryota just playing it very slow, very safe, and just, really locking in on his win condition.
Yeah, that was a really safe play from Ryota. I love what he went for there, where it's relatively safe. If Pikachu doesn't get the double, you do get a knockout, and it's basically a 3v1. I think Arash there maybe needed to go for the Waterfall and Text here. It was going to be a tough comeback to begin with. No triple protect.
No triple protect, high horsepower, finally removing that Pikachu from the field. Does get the paralysis on Excadrill on the way out, so... maybe that'll come into play. I don't know. I mean, I've seen weirder things happen in the world of Pokemon before. We also get a confirmation of the Excadrill's item in case anybody hasn't seen it yet. It is Life Orb. Waterfall will remove the Tyranitar from the field. So Arash gets 1 KO and a paralysis for his troubles. But again, this Gyarados just has so much stacked against it right now.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's actually doable though, right? I mean, the Excadrill's intimidated. And it's paralyzed now as well. Sigilyph is going to get one-shot by Crunch, so what's the last Pokemon on Ryota's end? That's the question here. I mean, there's a Citrus Berry on Gyarados as well. I think, like, Gyarados actually really could still pull this off. That paralysis was huge.
Yeah, the paralysis was definitely huge, but I feel like he's still going to need at least 1 turn of full paralysis maybe from that Excadrill in order to take this.
The question is how much, because I think single target Rock Slide, I don't know if it's even a 2-hit KO onto Gyarados once you have the Citrus Berry. So
yeah, I'm not sure either. But Gravity is
the
still
other question is
in
what
effect,
item the Sigilyph has. If it's Focus Sash, then you'll be able to, guarantee get an attack off here. Right, here's the Crunch. Let's see what item.
All right, it looks like it is Focus Sash, so that's great confirmation. I believe the Sigilyph's ability, as well as allowing it to bypass taking damage from Sandstorm, which is just a really cool setup from Ryota, going for a Tailwind to try and counteract that paralysis, but oh, I stand corrected. Never mind. Sigilyph goes down to the sand, and the Excadrill just, did not attack that turn. And I think Arash is still in this.
Yeah,
because of that paralysis.
His win con was, I think without the paralysis, Ryota would still need to hit Rock Slide. So let's see what the last Pokemon is here now. I think Arash played to his outs, and that is going to be, Dragapult. Okay, that's a great last Pokemon to have for Ryota, I think. But it will get knocked out by the Crunch.
It will, yeah. But I think because of the Tailwind, it should be faster than the Gyarados right now. So,
yeah, absolutely.
If the Dragapult goes for something like a Phantom Force to, a little bit slower, less offensive, but will give it the opportunity to deal some big damage and sort of avoid Gyarados' attacks. I like the Protect here from Gyarados. I think trying to see what this Dragapult is going to do is probably the most important thing for Arash.
Oh, it's got Thunderbolt. Okay, that should end it then.
Yeah, that should end it. It looks like that's probably a special Dragapult, which has been sort of the more popular way to run it right now. But still, just great information for Arash. I think he took a situation where he was really at a disadvantage and got a lot out of it. So hopefully he can turn it around going into Game 2 and use this information to his advantage.
Yeah, Arash right now wants to stall out the Tailwind, basically. So I think you go for a triple Protect and then hope to crunch the Dragapult. But I love Ryota's team here. The Sigilyph is really cool, and that was just a great turn 1 play. I think it was going to be really tough for Arash to win this game after turn 1. He gets the double
Protect! All right, it looks like this is still going on.
Oh man, Ryota laughs a little bit himself. He needs a third one. Okay. Oh, this is crazy.
Yeah. I think you gotta respect the triple Protect play. It doesn't always work, but when it does, it's just so hyped to see play out.
Alright, he's going for it, I think. You have to go for it. Is it gonna happen?
I don't know. It's what, like a 30% chance?
Oh, he doesn't. Okay.
Well, Thunderbolt will finally connect with that Gyarados, easily picks up the KO, and Ryota takes game 1.
Really clean play from Ryota, although I think Arash did the best job possible to try to come back into it. Nice, going for that double Protect with Pikachu and then going for, he knew when to basically go for the doubles, but I think the lead was just really great from Ryota, and Arash, didn't get anything off his Dynamax/G-Max in this game, whereas Ryota got a defense boost, he got so much damage across the board. That psychic damage against the Conkeldurr is incredible too, right? Drain Punch didn't even do that much after the defense boost, so I think Arash is gonna have to go back to the drawing board and reconsider his lead, because the lead just put him at such a disadvantage, especially without a way to hit the Excadrill really for great damage.
Yeah, you also have to wonder, what ability that Sigilyph is running. It's not Magic Guard because it took damage from Sandstorm.
Right.
So that means it's either Wonder Skin or Tinted Lens, which may come into play depending on, how Arash decides to mix things up. Personally, I'd really like to see Arash adjust and maybe bring his own Excadrill to this game. Mm-hmm. Since we did see Ryota go for the Sandstorm and sort of try and use that mode of play to his advantage. I don't think you bring Pikachu. I love Gigantamax Pikachu, but I feel like it's just not the Pokemon that Arash wants to bring, either today or just in general, unfortunately.
I think for Arash, maybe you want to reconsider playing a more Togekiss-centered strategy, because, we saw the effectiveness of Gyarados in that last game, right? So perhaps you, pair Gyarados with Togekiss, not necessarily as a lead, but you use Follow Me a little bit more effectively. Togekiss is mainly threatened by, the Steel-type attacks from Excadrill, so you want to check that first, and then maybe potentially get some boosts off, because this Gyarados can sweep through, as we saw, Ryota's entire team. With Crunch and Waterfall, you're able to one-shot almost everything on the opposing side. Pretty much everything, actually. So I think Gyarados is going to be really important on Arash, and like you mentioned, maybe you don't consider bringing Pikachu, because it's just so tough, because you have to worry about, Tyranitar switching in to give Excadrill the speed boost immediately, and Excadrill, the Togekiss is normally used to protect the Pikachu, but here Togekiss just gets one-shot by the Excadrill as well. So yeah, I don't know. I think, like you said, probably don't want to focus on Pikachu as much, and I think, Gyarados, as we saw, is clearly so good against Ryota's team, and was almost able to pull that comeback victory, even with such a bad start. So I think Arash wants to play a more Gyarados-centered game, probably protecting it with, redirection support from that Togekiss. We don't know the set on Arash's Excadrill. It can be so tough to bring that here if it isn't, even if it is Sand Rush, you're going up against Tailwind and a fast Excadrill, so Ryota pretty much, his Excadrill will always be faster, so you have to, worry about that as well. So for Arash, I think it's really answering the Excadrill, but that's tough because we see why Sigilyph is being used, threatening all these fighting type attacks like Conkeldurr, doing 90% with the Psychic is just nuts.
Oh, it's so much damage, and that's not even like it's not even a life orb or anything. That's just pure raw damage from that Sigilyph. I really hope Ryota posts at least a little bit of a team report about that Pokemon, because I am so curious to know more about it. It's kind of a really interesting niche to have a Pokemon that gets access to Gravity and Tailwind. And it looks like that's the kind of strategy Ryota's going for again.
Yep.
Arash finally mixing his lead up with the Gyarados. So that Intimidate down on the Excadrill is going to be, I think, a good start for him. But he really is going to need to keep up the offensive pressure if he wants to win this game too.
Yeah, Arash going for what I wanted to see from him, though. And I think this is better for a bunch of reasons. You pressure with damage immediately. And more importantly, you get it Intimidate off onto Excadrill. So I'm not actually sure a Max Steel Spike will even be able to knock out the Togekiss. Right now, Gyarados is protected with the potential Follow Me support, and Excadrill is probably going to want to divert its attention onto Togekiss because you have to worry about Follow Me immediately. So great lead adjustment from Arash, and I think this is exactly how he should be playing, and I think this time he's giving himself way more of a chance. And both Pokemon can Dynamax, which is cool here too. If you Dynamax with Togekiss, you have the pressure of Airstreams, but you can also go for Max Flare for damage. And then if you Dynamax with Gyarados, I mean, you can go for the Water Dynamax attack, although I think here it's better to not Dynamax Gyarados to get Dragon Dances off.
Yeah, I agree with that as well, as it looks like the Ryota is going to be the first Pokemon Dynamaxing on the time around with the Excadrill, and then on Arash's side of the field, that Togekiss is going to Dynamax as well. So it's really interesting to me as well that we've seen, in all the matches we've featured on the stream, Dynamax turn 1 consistently. That was not something I was expecting to see out of this tournament.
Yeah, so let's see. This Togekiss now certainly will survive, I think, a Steel Spike, as Sigilyph actually reveals itself to be the fastest out of this 4.
Yeah, Tailwind is up on the field. Max Steel Spike is going to connect with that Togekiss, is able to take the hit and will activate the weakness policy as well, which should be interesting to see if Togekiss will be able to maybe bring that Sigilyph down to the Focus Sash with an attack if that's what Arash decided to go for.
Yeah, if you went for Max Flare too, that actually should just knock out Excadrill, I think, at +2 special attack. So Dragon Dance Max Flare here could actually be such a great turn for Arash. Love the lead adjustment this time around, and I think it was an excellent decision to just Dynamax Togekiss and go for the offense.
Yeah, instead, Togekiss going for the Airstream will connect with that Sigilyph and bring it down to Focus Sash. So I don't think that Tailwind is as big of an advantage as it was at the beginning of the turn now, given that, this Gyarados is going to be getting another speed boost from this Max Airstream, and Togekiss should be 1 stage faster as well. So, if Arash wants, he can continue to try and use these Airstreams to even up the speed on the field.
Yeah, the thing is, so we saw Sigilyph go first earlier, so I think that's still the fastest Pokemon, and then it should be Gyarados, then I think,
Excadrill.
Right, and then,
yeah.
So the thing is, Togekiss is still threatened by a Steel Spike here, right? So, yeah, I don't know, I mean, I like the... I'm not sure how much the speed boost will really help here, but the thing is now you also don't have Follow Me support from Togekiss, so I'm wondering how much like a Rock Fall does to that Gyarados. Like if you double up on Gyarados with a Psychic and a Rock Fall, does that just KO? That's the other question. Does Gyarados... I don't think Gyarados can like one-shot, for example, the Excadrill here, so he has to worry about the damage output, I think, still from Ryota's end. And Togekiss is max guarding. Do we see a double up onto Gyarados? That would be brutal.
Well, it looks like the Sigilyph is going for Gravity first, so Togekiss and Gyarados are going to be vulnerable to ground-type attacks. Steel Spike will connect with the Max Guarding Togekiss, and Gyarados goes for another Dragon Dance.
I really like how Arash has played this, and that was an excellent Max Guard by Togekiss too, just to basically get another free Dragon Dance up. Now we're at +3 Gyarados in terms of speed and +2 attack, and he is just putting on so much offensive pressure right now. I mean, Gyarados is now definitely the fastest Pokemon on the field outside of everything. And it's just in a prime position to sweep. I think like Arash might want to consider switching out Togekiss and then switching it back in for Follow Me support. Just because it pairs out so nicely with Gyarados. I think like if Ryota brought the same Pokemon as last game, Gyarados will literally one-shot everything at this point.
Well, it looks like the Togekiss is going to switch out on Arash's side of preserving the Follow Me support for later if Arash needs it. Conkeldurr will be taking its place. Is definitely threatened by that Sigilyph. However, Waterfall from Gyarados has the potential and does indeed knock it out. Didn't need the Dragon Dance attack boost to get that, but we now know it is faster than Sigilyph under Tailwind at 3 Dragon Dances, I believe, which is really important to call out. Steel Spike still does over 50% damage to that Conkeldurr, gives that Excadrill another defense boost, and we end the turn with a Flame Orb activation.
Yeah, so, I mean, this is pretty tough for Ryota, I think, to be able to close this one out, especially because of the Conkeldurr switch in there. I mean, that just threatens the Tyranitar with the Mach Punch, so yeah, the Dragapult comes in, but now with Dynamax ending, I think you're free to just crunch the Dragapult and Mach Punch, and there's pretty much nothing I think the Excadrill can really do around that. We haven't seen a Max Rockfall either from the Excadrill, so, you know, gotta wonder if it actually is carrying it or not, because you imagine he could have gone for Psychic Rockfall into Gyarados, and I think Gyarados is just primed to really sweep this. Really impressive adjustment here, and I think, like, Ryota probably didn't consider the Togekiss and Gyarados combination as much, and certainly, I mean, the weakness policy puts on more pressure with Togekiss in terms of offense, which is why Arash was able to make a really nice play of max guarding, saying, okay, I know you need to kind of target the slot down right now, so I'm just going to protect it and give my Gyarados another free Dragon Dance off.
Yeah, it looks like we're seeing a lot of protects this turn as well from Gyarados, the Excadrill, and the Conkeldurr. Interesting that Conkeldurr knows Protect over Detect, just something, you know, to call out. Dragapult's Thunderbolt will connect with that Gyarados, but because of the double Protect on Arash's side of the field, I have to imagine that Tailwind is expiring this turn. So Gyarados now free to go for a Waterfall or a Crunch into that Dragapult. Pick up the KO there. Conkeldurr free to target down that Excadrill, and again, just an amazing adjustment from Arash in this game too.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we were talking about it beforehand. I wanted to see him go Togekiss Gyarados. That's exactly what he went for. So really, I think excellent adjustments. Love the Conkeldurr bring here too, because it counters Tyranitar. And once Excadrill's Dynamax end, I mean, a flame boosted or burnt boosted Guts Mach Punch might just be able to knock out, should be able to knock out Excadrill, I think. So, yeah, just really great adjustments. I like the play Ryota's going for here, too. I think, yeah, I mean, no Mach Punch coming out, so maybe going for, just trying to knock out the Conkeldurr here. Is High Horsepower able to do enough with the Intimidate and the Life Orb?
Oh, it is not. I mean, I think Conkeldurr will be, oh, no, Drain should restore enough health so that Conkeldurr will not be knocked out by the burn damage at the end of this turn. So Arash just playing things pretty calmly there. I like the defensive switch with the Tyranitar into the Dragapult slot as well. I think that was a really good play from Ryota, but not Conkeldurr just able to do the damage it needs to stay around on the field. And again, there's nothing really stopping Arash this turn from doing a similar play, just switching up the targeting slot so that he can hit those Pokemon with super effective damage.
Yeah, precisely. I was wondering if I felt like Mach Punch probably would get the knockout there, so I was surprised to see Arash not go for it. It certainly would get the knockout, I think, after Life Orb damage. So, yeah, a little risky there. But, I mean, I think Gyarados was in a prime position to sweep through and one-shot everything. It hasn't even taken any damage at this point. And with the Citrus Berry, it's able to basically take multiple hits as well. So, I think we should see Arash win the second game pretty cleanly here.
Yeah, it might have been Arash trying to keep that information for Game 3, because I don't think he relied on Mach Punch in Game 1 either.
Ah, right, yeah.
So, I mean, we know that he has it from, the first round in this pool, but I don't think Ryota does. So just the information game is really the name of the game right now, I think. As Crunch should easily pick up the KO onto that Dragapult. Tyranitar going for a Protect. So next turn, I think Water Punch. Wow, Waterfall and Drain Punch should go ahead and clean things up.
Yeah, I think I like Arash's set here too, right? The Crunch is actually a game changer. A lot of Dragon Dance Gyaradoses roll on Power Whip, maybe Bounce, occasionally like Ice Fang, and the Crunch is actually a game changer here because it allows you to touch the Dragapult and basically knock it out after a Dragon Dance. So I love the Gyarados set here, honestly, and I think, Arash is definitely going to be, I think, bringing Gyarados, Conkeldurr, and Togekiss once again into the next match. So for Ryota, you know, because he won that first game, he has some more room to work with now. He says, okay, I know you just went with this lead, so perhaps he might want to consider leading with Milotic this time. Because if Arash goes with the same lead, you'll get a competitive boost immediately. So I think, Ryota, even though this was, I think, a pretty rough loss, he knows the mode that Arash is kind of forced to go with, so he can definitely adjust accordingly. I don't think you can afford to just go Sigilyph Excadrill once again, though.
Yeah, and the cool thing about the Milotic adjustment as well is that Arash didn't bring Pikachu this game, and Pikachu really is the Pokemon that he has on his team to stop Milotic. So if Ryota wants, it seems like a pretty easy adjustment to bring maybe Milotic over the Dragapult, since that's a Pokemon that didn't really do anything this game, and get the competitive boost, like you said, and just really sort of stick around on the field long enough to get some big knockouts.
I'm so excited for this third game. I think,
I know.
Yeah, Ryota definitely has to switch things up. Don't go Sigilyph Excadrill again. I think Milotic, I want to see Milotic because now you've dissuaded Arash from bringing the Pikachu. So, especially because Gyarados is going to come out on the field sometime, at some point. Maybe just lead Milotic to try to get a competitive boost immediately. So then the question is, maybe Arash predicts the Milotic because he has to know it's probably coming. And maybe you actually bring the Pikachu as a lead this time once again and try to get a knockout onto Milotic. There's so many ways that both players can go about this, but I think we definitely need to see a Pokemon switch up on Ryota's end and definitely not go with the same leads again.
Yeah, I would worry about bringing Pikachu though, because if Ryota doesn't bring Milotic, then that Pikachu isn't going to be able to accomplish much of anything other than like a fake out or something.
Right.
So it's very high risk, high reward.
Exactly. Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, Arash was able to win that last game without even his 4th Pokemon, so it makes me wonder like. I mean, Chandelure doesn't seem that great here because of T-Tar and Exca, especially it doesn't pair well against Milotic either. So I don't really think you want to bring the Chandelure. I think the Excadrill on Arash's end really doesn't offer him too much because it's going to get one-shot by the opposing Excadrill, and that doesn't have a good matchup against Milotic either. So I don't know. I'd like to see Pikachu here as just like a 4th option. So then the question is, if Arash brings it, do you lead with it or do you have it in the back? But for Ryota, yeah, I still like the Sand combo. I mean, Excadrill hits super hard. But he's going to need better answers against the Gyarados, basically, and I think it starts with Milotic.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I do like how trainers are taking all the time afforded to them going into this team preview, though. It goes to show just like how much thought is going into this matchup.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm really excited to also watch this play out because I think there's a lot of stuff on Ryota's team that we just haven't seen yet, because in game 1 he only relied on a couple of Pokemon, and in game 2 Arash was able to just get those knockouts before he was able to do anything. We saw a lot of the Sigilyph, which is great, but there's some other ones that are pretty cool too that I want to see all the sort of tricks and stuff on his team. I want to see this be a really meaty game 3 where these trainers are just really trying to make the reads and make the big plays, and it looks like they're ready to get started.
All right, here we go. I really want to see Milotic, and I'd love to see a Pikachu come back for Arash. So I am hyped.
Well, that's Milotic, I think. Yeah. So Milotic and Sigilyph on Ryota's side of the field.
Yes. Oh,
kissing Gyarados. Yes. You can just see the look of oh no on Arash's face there. That competitive boost will be boosting Milotic's special attack by 2 stages, and it certainly gets access to stuff like Ice Beam, which will threaten that Togekiss. So Arash already in a very tough spot to start this game.
Yeah, now the question is, did he bring the Pikachu in the back without it? I think Milotic can actually just really sweep through this entire game. It's going to do so much more damage now at this point already as well. So Arash has to be really careful here with who he's going to Dynamax and getting the maximum amount of usage from those couple of turns. The thing is, of course, Gyarados can Dragon Dance a bunch, but I think we saw that this Milotic actually has Breaking Swipe, which will decrease the attack on Gyarados' end as well. So yeah, I think Milotic, the perfect adjustment here, and I wouldn't be surprised just to see a Tailwind. I don't know what attack Milotic is going to go for immediately, but either way, I think this is definitely the lead adjustment Ryota needed.
Yeah, I don't think there's really a wrong move for Milotic here. I mean, it's going to be dealing a ton of damage. He could try and get some Scald burns down on the field. He could go for Breaking Swipe. There's really so many options for Ryota right now. He's in a very, I'd say, generous position where he has the opportunity to, set up Tailwind with the Sigilyph, but also maybe set something up with the Milotic as well. Whereas Arash...
Muddy Water!
Oh, all right. Muddy Water misses Togekiss, connects with the Gyarados, and doesn't get an accuracy drop this time. So Gyarados at least a little better off in that regard. Goes immediately for a Dragon Dance to boost its attack and speed by 1 stage. And Togekiss free to go for a max Airstream again. So it looks like this Gyarados will be slower than Sigilyph this next turn, but if Arash goes for another Dragon Dance, it should be faster and it should be able to, again, start threatening these Pokemon a little bit, but that Milotic is still, pretty healthy on the field.
Yeah, so Ryota, I think making the good decision to not Dynamax, you have to be really careful to not Dynamax Milotic because then you actually can't heal, assuming that it has Recover as an attack. So I like Arash's play there too, right? Right now you're against a Milotic, and even though it's boosted, it's still relatively passive. So if you get a bunch of speed boosts off, then your goal maybe is to just overwhelm the Milotic with offense. Yeah, it's at +2 special attack, but it's still not doing very much damage. So Gyarados actually opting to protect here, as Togekiss is probably going for another Airstream to boost. Oh, Hypnosis!
Hypnosis into the protecting
Wow.
Gyarados. So just another move that has great
Muddy Water
synergy with
connects
gravity.
this time, okay.
Yeah, Togekiss gets hit by the Muddy Water, no accuracy drop. Airstream will connect with the Sigilyph this time, and or no, that's the Milotic, I believe. My bad. Again, boost speed on Arash's side of the field by 1 stage for both of his Pokemon, and really puts that Milotic or that Sigilyph into KO range for an attack from the Gyarados. That I wasn't expecting Hypnosis though. That is an interesting Pokemon right there.
Brilliant play by Arash these first 2 turns though. I think like it looked really bad because the Milotic came out as a lead immediately. But the thing is that Milotic and Sigilyph don't do any damage, right? So now you've got like even though Tailwind is up, like Gyarados and Togekiss are still standing so strong, and you can see how bulky Dynamax Togekiss is. It's not taking any damage from this Milotic, so. I think like Arash managed to maneuver himself out of a tough position by going for really great airstreams, and the stat boosts add up so quickly here. So, man, really nice play from Arash. And now you're staring down a Gyarados at +3 and a Togekiss at +2, so you're free to just target Sigilyph for a knockout probably, and go for another maybe airstream into the Milotic.
Or a Waterfall for maybe a flinch opportunity, but it looks like Arash went for the Waterfall into the Sigilyph to cover a possible Tyranitar switch in for the crunch. So just really good, sort of taking the information from games 1 and 2, moving forward into this game 3. Airstream from Togekiss will connect with that Milotic once again, giving a speed boost to both the Pokemon on Arash's side of the field. Dodges the Muddy Water this time around. Togekiss will get hit a second time. It's a critical hit. But again, no accuracy drops in play yet, so this is going way better than Arash's first round, I gotta say.
Yeah, I think even with the lead, because Ryota had such a passive combination of Sigilyph and Milotic, he wasn't able to really do very much with it. Now, the game is still far from over, but the tough thing is that the airstreams mean that this Gyarados is just completely boosted up now as Dragapult comes in as well. Now, the upside is that Ryota has not Dynamaxed for him, right? So he will be able to get a big Dynamax off, but the question is, one, like, who are you Dynamaxing? You'd assume it's probably going to be Dragapult. There's only 1 turn of Tailwind left as well, so as long as you stall out this Tailwind, yeah, Gyarados is at +4 speed, so it's going to be able to pretty much, KO or outspeed everything. So I think here you have to worry about a potential Thunderbolt. Like, I think because Dragapult here is going to want a Dynamax, and so Ryota can still pull off a comeback right now, that's for sure. But you have to be careful here on the last turn of Tailwind here, and looks like Arash is actually just opting for damage here instead of stalling out the Tailwind. So let's see how this plays out, because Dragapult could theoretically target the Togekiss. Not sure if that would be able to get a knockout. I don't think a +1 crunch knocks out Dynamax Dragapult. And then the Milotic can target down the Gyarados on the opposing side.
Yeah, and there's always the possibility of Muddy Water getting some more accuracy drops and mixing the game up in that regard, as Crunch will connect with that Dragapult, does about 50% damage. Max Lightning will connect with the Togekiss, and that should be a knockout there. So this Gyarados will be left to take single target damage from that Milotic's Muddy Water, if that's what Ryota goes for. We might also see a reveal of a second move on Milotic here, which would be pretty exciting, since we've only seen those Muddy Waters so far. And Milotic does have Recover, so this will bring it back up to full health. And again, it's so bulky. Arash, I think, he needs to think about what Pokemon he has in the back that can sort of, power through this Milotic, because fortunately, he is within knockout range for another crunch from that Gyarados into the Dragapult. But if Milotic's able to just sit on the field long enough to, win this game for Ryota, that's still a problem.
Yeah, Conkeldurr with Guts, though, is actually a decent way to deal with the Milotic. The thing is that Crunch did just over 50% to the Dragapult, so another one should just be able to get the knockout. Don't know exactly what the role is there, so pretty safe, I think, to just Crunch into the Dragapult and maybe just go for a Drain Punch. And then the question is, does Milotic have Scald? If not, then maybe you're forced to Max Guard here and go for a Muddy Water to go for an accuracy drop. If there is Breaking Swipe, you can decrease its attack through that. Conkeldurr actually goes for a Protect. So no Max Guard on the Dragapult, looks like.
No Max Guard. Crunch
does
will
Crunch get the KO? It does.
KO the opposing Dragapult, which did some big damage right there. Milotic is the last Pokemon standing on the field for Ryota for this turn, and Muddy Water does connect with the Gyarados, so that is a point in his favor. But I think, like you were just saying, it's really going to come down to whether or not these accuracy drops start adding up, and Gyarados has one, so here we go.
I think, Milotic could theoretically still pull this off, honestly, so it's definitely gonna come down to what Ryota's last Pokemon is gonna be. I think, like, I mean, if it's Excadrill, I think that just gets demolished by both of these Pokemon. So does Tyranitar, really. So I wonder if it's... Actually, I guess any of Ryota's remaining Pokemon is gonna lose to this combination. And it looks like it will be the Excadrill. Okay, so... Oh, man. I mean, with the accuracy drop, though, you could miss a Waterfall, and that would allow Excadrill to get an attack off. And Milotic is going to do a lot of damage with Muddy Water right now. So even though I think Arash had a great start to this game, this is why I wanted Milotic to come out in this match. It puts on so much pressure here. So this is going to be close. It's going to come down to whether Waterfall hits, whether Muddy Water gets more accuracy drops. Here, Ryota could potentially go for a Protect on the Excadrill as well. Conkeldurr will probably be slower than Milotic, so it can recover off as well. And there's the Protect on Excadrill. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I like the Protect here from Ryota.
Yeah, definitely.
Will give Milotic another opportunity to go for a Muddy Water. It will give another opportunity to get an accuracy drop. It does connect with both of these Pokemon. And I believe it'll put that Conkeldurr into knockout range as well. It does. And that's what's super scary about competitive as an ability. Any stat drop gets you to +2. And even though this Conkeldurr will be able to connect a Drain Punch with that Milotic,
so much damage from Drain Punch, though, yeah.
It's still on the field, and it still certainly can threaten these two Pokemon on Arash's side. I think Ryota might be forced to weave in another recover at some point, though, as it is starting to, enter the end game phase, if you will.
Yeah, I think Waterfall and Drain Punch should just get the knockout here. So if you're Ryota, maybe you consider a double Protect there with the Excadrill. Or maybe the question is, do you go for the double Protect, or do you hope for a miss with Waterfall from the accuracy, basically? Because there are two options there. And then on Milotic side, do you recover a Muddy Water? If you Muddy Water, potentially you could get an accuracy drop on the Conkeldurr, and then maybe another double Muddy Water picks up the knockout next turn. But yeah, because Milotic has leftovers and not something like a Citrus or a Bulky Berry, it's not able to heal back a large amount, in one turn. Here we go, Waterfall!
All right,
does connect.
No Protects. Waterfall does connect with that Excadrill and will immediately knock it out. So it is just this Milotic left on Ryota's side of the field.
Muddy Water does connect. Needs an accuracy drop right now on Conkeldurr.
He needs an accuracy drop or a critical hit. Doesn't get the critical hit, but does get the accuracy drop onto Conkeldurr. Drain Punch is unable to connect with that Milotic. So Ryota has found himself a win condition. It's a little bit dicey, but it is a win condition.
Yeah, I mean, that was his out.
Oh my god, that was his out, and he respected it, and he's still in this game as a result. That is absolutely incredible.
Wow, I mean, that's tough, though. Arash had that game without that miss. We don't know what the last Pokemon on Arash's end yet. The thing is, he can Mach Punch and Crunch now. Waterfall, going for a crit here. Doesn't want to lower defenses with Crunch, which is smart. Didn't opt for Mach Punch, though. Muddy Water double connects.
It double connects. It will knock out the Conkeldurr before it can attack. It puts Gyarados within knockout range and gets another accuracy drop.
What's the last Pokemon, though? That's the question.
I don't know. I mean, we'll see it momentarily as Arash goes to send it out onto the field, but Milotic, it might just be one more Muddy Water away from winning this.
Oh, it's Chandelure. But I think a Shadow Ball plus a Crunch should get the knockout.
Yeah, and Chandelure will have the benefit of, not having been hit by any accuracy drops yet. So whatever attack it throws out should connect with that Milotic, assuming it is faster.
If Arash misses on Gyarados here, though, then you can just keep recovering with Milotic.
Yeah, you can. And that would be a really interesting endgame to see play out.
Crunch does connect. That should be it.
No, Milotic holds on, and the Shadow Ball connects, and yep, that's it. So, wow, what a incredibly close game between Ryota and Arash. Arash just, powering through the accuracy drops this time around and is able to win 2-1 against Ryota. That was super hype.
That was an amazing set. I think Arash, got crushed in that first game, honestly, and he played so well in the second and third game. I love the adjustments he made, and I thought Ryota, I really like to see the Milotic, but he needed a little bit more offense next to that Milotic, and he, wasn't able to do too much with Sigilyph and Milotic next to each other.